Hello, world. My name is Micah Henderson. I'm here with my co-host, Thor Jolly. And welcome to this episode of Git Rec'd. We are working on this. It's a kind of a work in progress, so we're not exactly sure where we're taking this show, but we figure, at the very least, we're two buds who like to talk about crazy stuff, and we've all seen some crazy stuff, so we're going to recommend some things to each other.
Yep. And the goal is to make each other laugh, maybe make you find something that you wouldn't think you like that you do, perhaps make the other one uncomfortable and force them to watch something they hate or listen to something they hate. Who knows? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
So welcome to episode 2, and we are doing the good, the bad, the weird.
Yeah, it's a South Korean film from 2008. I was looking it up.
Okay, I had no idea when this movie was from.
Yeah, so it was made in 2008, and you know what? Let me pull up the wiki, and I can give you a rundown. And I used to be a Blockbuster manager back when that existed.
Blockbusters?
yeah, back when Blockbusters existed. And so we would get all sorts of random crap. And working at Blockbuster, we were allowed to rent 5 movies a week for free.
What?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It was pretty great. And they asked me when I got hired there if I liked movies. And I was like, yeah, sure, I liked movies. And up until that time, I'd basically watched just the general, movies that come out in the theaters.
Yeah.
I wasn't into anything indie or deep dive into stuff. I watched a couple of anime movies, not knowing that anime was a thing. I just figured it was a Japanese cartoon. Like there was a 1990s Street Fighter cartoon that was a feature-length film. If you haven't watched that, it's so good.
I saw the live action Street Fighter movie.
It was so bad.
So good. And by bad, I mean bad.
Yeah.
But
they can't do a good Street Fighter film. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah,
they even tried
too
again.
Absurd.
Yeah, they even tried again with the Chun-Li. Do you remember the Legend of Chun-Li movie?
No.
It came out like early 2000s, I think, and they had the girl who played Lana in Smallville.
Never saw Smallville.
Okay, all right. So it was she was like the main love interest of Clark Kent.
I know who you're talking about, though. I can see her face in my mind.
Yeah, so she played Chun-Li, and there's a bad guy who's always a bad guy, or an actor who plays a bad guy all the time. He was the bad guy in, I think, The Rundown with The Rock. He's got gray hair. He's not a very nice guy. I mean, I'm sure he's a great guy in person, but he always plays a jerk. And he played Bison, and it was such a weird thing, because he had a suit on instead of, like, weird Nazi Bison outfit, or the weird outfit that Bison had. Like, it was very strange. They tried to make it a realistic Street Fighter, like set in our world.
Okay, here we go. Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li from 2009.
Yeah.
The lady who they picked, I was like, I know exactly who you're talking about. I can see it in my head.
Yeah.
I doubted myself, which is why I pulled it up on IMDb, because I was like, she's not Asian.
Yeah, I don't think that she is.
And I'm looking at her. Her name is Kristen Kruk.
Okay.
She's a white lady who played Chun-Li.
What?
She is not Asian.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't think that... Well, I wasn't sure. I
wasn't
sure.
Perhaps there's some Asian heritage there.
Yeah.
But...
Not fully?
She's not Chun-Li.
She's not
I'm just saying. Neil McDonough. This guy. Okay, Neil McDonough.
Yeah.
Is the name of the gentleman.
He plays a great bad guy.
He does.
All the time.
He is a bad guy in everything.
Yep.
Minority Report, Captain America. I just saw him in something.
He was in Captain America?
It says he was. It looks... Yeah, the first Avengers, though. He played Timothy something.
Oh my gosh, he was he actually wasn't a bad guy in that. He was a good guy. He had a handlebar mustache and everything. Yeah, he had a handlebar mustache.
Timothy Dum Dum.
I do remember him now. There's some obscure World War II like superhero team that lives in Marvel Comics, and he played one of those guys.
Okay.
They had like a weird cameo where they didn't say that it was that team, but everybody was named from that team type of thing. So the people who know that obscure reference would be like, hey, they're doing fan service to the deep divers.
Yeah.
But so The Good, the Bad, and the Weird was made in 2008. It was directed by Kim Ji-woon. I'm going to mispronounce all of these names.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, so I don't mean to offend, but so it's basically there's a lot of Korean actors and actresses in this. I don't know who any of them are other than being in this movie.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize
anybody. I think I
anybody.
saw maybe one that was familiar. Yeah. Probably in like Ong-bak or something like that.
Yeah. And so Wiki is saying that it's a remake of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I don't think that that's necessarily true. It's kind of like a re-envisioning, if anything.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that it's a remake of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, personally.
No.
But yeah, so it was directed by Kim Ji-woon. It was a South Korean Western.
Okay, so this was a Korean movie.
Yeah.
Correct? Okay.
Yeah, so it was a South Korean Western. And it's supposed to take place right before World War II.
Okay.
As far as the time
That was
period.
also my next question. Was what exactly is the timeline?
Yeah. Yep. So it's so Thor, give me your thoughts here. What was your general overall thought? Or do you have a general overall thought?
Whew, this movie is something else.
It is something else.
If I could sum it up in one sentence or phrase, I think it would be this. In this movie, two separate people die from being stabbed up the butthole. But I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
Not just the butthole
Not
stabbing,
just the butthole stuff.
all of it. No, this thing is action, front to back.
Yeah.
So initially when I watched it, I invited my wife Kendra to watch it with me, and I was like, heads up, it's only subtitled.
Yeah.
So I know you're not a fan of that. It's not dubbed. So if you don't want to watch it, my feelings won't be hurt. And she said, yeah, no, I'm going to pass.
Okay.
And watch Grey's Anatomy or something else while I watch this.
Yeah, of course.
After watching it, though, I was like, you probably could have watched this because there is very little dialogue in this movie.
Yeah, there are very long sequences of action and chase scenes and that type of stuff.
Yeah, like extended 20-minute fight scenes, which is awesome. Really cool. I think if you took all the dialogue in this movie, the script was probably 20 pages long. And then 100 pages of descriptions of the action sequences.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think that that's honestly one of the reasons that I liked it, because there's just so much visual storytelling that's done in this. I feel like the cinematography is really, really good. And
yes.
I think that the soundtrack is freaking phenomenal.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I noticed when we were talking, just in our discussions, actually not what we were talking about last week, but during our discussions, you're somebody who you always bring up the soundtrack of movies.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think I miss a lot. Except in the obvious ones, like a Tarantino movie or like the Guardians of the Galaxy, something like that.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't typically think too much about the way a movie is scored. Even
that's interesting to me because you're a very musically inclined person.
That is true.
You play piano, you play guitar.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's something I just don't, I guess, necessarily think about actively too often. But yeah, I thought the same thing as soon as it started. I was like, I love this music because it's a mix between. This movie is clearly them doing an homage to Western, to classic American Western movies. And so they take that classic American Western style of music and then mix it with very Asian-oriented music.
Yeah. Yeah, it was super, super cool. It had really cool beats and awesome horn music. It was really, really, really neat. There were 3 main characters in it, And I think that the movie title is referring to those three characters being the good, the bad, and the weird.
That would make sense.
I'm fairly certain. Because it's basically, the plot revolves around this map that supposedly will take you to some type of treasure. Right?
Jesus, don't. We'll get to it.
And so that's like the opening pitch. And you find this one guy who's a bounty hunter, and he is getting hired to get the map, and also he's going to get paid because there's this villain who's also going after the map.
Yeah, this is Duwan.
Yeah.
Or no, not Duwan. I'm sorry. Where I wrote his name down here. Park Chang-yi.
Park Chang-yi.
This is Chang-yi. And this guy, I got to tell you, the first note I wrote down.
Yeah.
The first, because I took notes watching this.
Are we talking about the bounty hunter?
Well, I guess he's more of like an assassin.
Is it Mr. Cool or is it the cowboy?
Mr. Cool.
Oh, Mr. Cool.
Mr. Cool. That's who you open with. He's been hired to get the map for this person. And this is Park Chang-yi is the character he plays. Chang-yi. The very first note I wrote down is, I hate this guy's hair and his eyeliner. He has the classic duck butt haircut.
Yeah. He is the most Asian influenced, I think, out of everybody.
Yeah, he stands out as... that's the first thing that struck me as silly about this movie.
Yeah, he's got like the side devil lock or devil spike, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Over the hair, and then his hair in the back of his head is spiked up.
Yeah, classic anime, kind of like an anime-inspired hairdo.
Yeah, and he's always wearing a suit.
Yep.
He's wearing the eyeliner.
Black suit and eyeliner.
Yep.
And then those shiny black gloves.
Yeah. I think
the OJ style isotoner.
Yeah. the dude reeked of cool, like over the top,
covered with it.
Yeah. He was easily the most Asian influenced out of the whole group.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, and then it kind of doesn't give a lot of, and then it goes to, he's obviously going to be robbing this train. I guess it's on a train.
Yeah.
But little does he know, at the same time, there's a thief, and this is Taegu.
Yeah.
Taegu, who is kind of like the bumbling comic relief of the movie.
Yeah, he's kind of like a goofy scrapper type of character.
Yep.
Yeah. He was probably my least favorite out of the three.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I just don't really... I mean, he served his place. I think he was needed. If the movie didn't have him, I don't think it would have worked.
No, yeah.
But out of the three, I liked the Park... Is it Park Chang-yi?
Yes.
Yeah, the bad guy.
Yeah, Chang-yi is the assassin.
Yeah.
So there are three main characters. We talked about Taegu. And then the other one is
Is it Dowan?
Duwan.
Duwan?
Or Duwan. But both of him and the assassin style guy, the cool guy, Chang-yi and Duwan are both Park. They're both Park because in Asian culture they do the family name first and then the given name. So they're both Parks. So basically it's like if in an American style it'd be like, this is Mike Smith and this is Jim Smith. And they're not related.
At all.
At all. They just happen to have the same last name. Which I was like... It took me a while to figure out who was who, what their names were.
Anytime that I watch a foreign film, I never remember any of their names. My brain just recognizes, you're not going to remember these. Like, you're not going to recognize these names.
Just take the context clues.
Yep. So I just watch and I give them names in my head. So it was Mr. Cool, and then it was the bounty hunter, and then it was the thief.
Yep.
That's basically what I recognize them as.
Yep. And the one thing I will criticize, and it could be perhaps it's foreign storytelling, the story was a little bit hard to follow.
A little bit, yeah.
And I think part of that is because they didn't give you a ton of exposition explaining what's going on. They let you kind of figure out what's going on as the story unfolded.
Yeah.
Which I generally like that style of storytelling. But it was a little bit tough to follow.
Do you think... Yeah, so just as far as the rundown of the plot, so the I'm going to refer to as the bad. It's the guy with the eyeliner and the suit.
Yeah, definitely the bad guy throughout the movie.
So he's hired to get this map. And then the bounty hunter, who I'll probably just refer to as the good, is basically hired to get the map as well. But then they're like, also, you're going to get paid by taking down this bad guy.
Yeah, Chang-Yi.
You're going to get the bounty for him, and that's how you'll get paid.
Yep.
And he's like, okay, that sounds good. And then this the third guy, the thief, just kind of happens upon the map.
Yeah, because he's robbing this train for real.
Yeah, so he just robs this train, and he just happens to be in this spot when all this shit goes down.
Yep.
And runs away with the map. So for the majority of the movie, he's got the map.
Yes.
But it never tells you what the treasure is. It's just like a treasure.
It's a map to a treasure.
Yeah.
And we'll get that.
Yeah. So
we'll get to it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of, hijinks ensue, and there are kind of weird semi-formal alliances that happen, and where they're all trying to go after this treasure and get this map. At the same time, they're kind of trying to kill each other, but at the same time, they're not.
Yeah.
And then, to make things even more confusing, there's a group of bandits that also want the map.
Everyone wants this map.
Yeah. So there's a group of bandits that also wants this map, and then the government gets involved, and the government also wants this map. So, like, everybody. So, like, the military is after this. These roaming bandits are after this because they're trying to sell it on, I think they called it the ghost market.
Yes.
So everybody's really fixated on this map. Like, this is the MacGuffin of MacGuffins.
True. Yeah. Well, and what happens is, what's his name? Taigu, the thief. Mm-hmm. He ends up getting off, escaping from the train.
Yeah.
And so the bounty hunter, the good guy, Duan, he tracks him down because he knows that the bad guy, Chang-Yi, he knows that the other guy has the map. So he's like, I'm going to basically capture this guy.
Yeah.
And keep him with me as a lure for the other guy.
Yeah.
So they kind of end up working together, and I really like their dynamic.
Yes.
It reminded me of like a Rush Hour type, like like Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan teaming up,
right? Because
the
other guy was
classic straight man, silly man,
so
dynamic.
Goofy. Because the bounty hunter, he was a very, I'll say, vanilla character. Like, he didn't have too much personality at all. I just thought he was cool with his action lever rifle.
Oh my god, yeah,
and his duster coat and his hat. He was very cool. But not Mr. Cool. He wasn't as cool as Mr. Cool.
Yeah, no, Mr. Cool was so cool.
Yeah.
And then so you end up finding out that Mr. Cool is actually, this part was silly. He's like, he's the finger chopper.
Right.
Like, they're like, this guy, he goes around, he's a bad dude, and he chops people's fingers.
Yep. You got to watch out for him.
One of the things I have written down here is that, like we said, so all the action scenes are over the top.
Yeah.
That's the thing about this, and I would describe it as like kung fu gunplay.
Yeah.
That much I loved about the movie is like, I feel like all the action was so cool, and even though they're primarily shooting guns at each other, primarily, there are a few scenes where they're not. They do traditional like sword fighting and kung fu sequences.
Right.
Almost all of it is them shooting at each other.
Yeah.
And it's like a kung fu take on a bunch of people shooting at each other.
Yeah. Yeah, that mixed with a lot of chase scenes. There's a lot of horseback shooting at each other, that type of thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really fun. It was really fun.
Yep. So, and then we get to the part that, like I said, this is how I would describe the movie to anybody. So Taigu gets, he gets away from Duan. Mm-hmm. And, of course, he's on his way, and he's like, he sees a whorehouse, and he's like, well, I gotta stop there. It's an opium den slash brothel. He's gotta stop there, obviously. And so this brothel is ran by the Japanese military, who also wants this map and somehow knows he has it, and they knew he would stop there.
Yep.
So everything goes according to their plan.
Yeah.
He gets in, he gets drugged, he falls asleep. He wakes up in a cage, surrounded by there's also 3 kids in this cage. It's like a little jail cell.
Yeah.
It's him and like 3 kids in this jail cell for some reason. So then the door opens and he hides. I don't know where he hides, but he hides somewhere. And so the guard walks in. He's like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And the kids kind of distract the guy, and Taigu runs up behind him with a spike and shoves it up his butt. Right, stabs him in the butt. And then not only stabs him in the butt, continues to kick it and knee it further and further until this man dies from being stabbed up
in
the butt.
Sounds like a death from Seven.
Yeah, it does. It's so weird. But it only gets better because what happens next, because Taigu is now bought favor with these children. He's like, "Hey, let's get out of this cage. Let's go."
Right.
So because I don't know what these kids, I still have no idea what these kids did. They were probably orphans.
To piss off the government, too, like the military.
It's
right?
a military holding cell. They have 3 children in there. So Taigu is facing off against kind of the guy who imprisoned him. And when this guy least expects it, so he pulls a fast one on Taigu, and he's about to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And wouldn't you know it, one of these kids comes up behind him and shoves a sword up his butt. Because he learned it from Taigu. And then immediately after that, the next scene is him and one of the orphans, imprisoned children.
Yeah.
He has one of them on his motorcycle driving through the desert. I don't
Right.
know what happened to
the other
No idea
two.
what happens to the other 2. And then in the very next scene, he's by himself. So I don't even know what happened to this other. For all we know, Taigu may have killed and eaten all of these children or just left them in the desert. We don't know. There is no way to know what he did with these 3 children.
Taigu the cannibal. That's hysterical.
I honestly didn't feel like the movie was super absurd, except for a few parts. That being one of them.
Yeah.
That whole chain of events, I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I honestly forgot about that entire sequence. to be truthful with you,
Yeah.
like I completely blocked that out. I remembered the really cool cinematic chase scenes, the awesome music, the cool gunfights. Yeah, I didn't remember the butt stabbing.
The butt stabbing, it is
Yeah.
2 times.
Who wrote that in there?
Ugh.
Who wrote that in there?
And then, so the biggest action scene by far was pretty awesome. So at this point, Duan and Taigu, they're back together. They're on their way to find the treasure.
Mm-hmm.
They've managed to get away. And at this point, the Japanese military has pretty much deployed an entire military. And it's kind of like a Battle of the 5 Armies type situation.
Yeah, everything kind of culminates together.
Everyone is chasing Taigu. And then up comes cool guy, bad guy with his gang.
Yep.
Then the bandit gang.
Yep.
They're chasing it. And then the military shows up with like jeeps and tons of cavalry.
Yeah, and tons of like mounted machine guns.
Yeah. Yeah. And this scene is nuts.
It is.
Like,
it's long too. It's like the
long.
last 40 minutes of the movie.
I would like to point out, this is another thing that was a little bit absurd, is so actually Duan and Taigu had gotten separated.
Yeah.
But Duan comes in and destroys an entire military by himself. With just a pump action rifle.
Right.
He's riding a horse and he's slinging it like Terminator in Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Just whipping it around every time. Just
Yeah. Man. It was so cool. It was so cool. It really was. Where do they film it? Because is there, I don't know the geography of Korea at all. I guess that they filmed it in Korea.
probably.
I know that it was Korean made.
So
but
Oh yeah, this is an important part. So I don't know how accurate any of this is as far as Japan, because essentially at the northern end of China, on the east side of China, like a peninsula comes out from the mainland of China, and that is, Korea. Today, today it's obviously divided into North Korea, which shares the border with China,
right,
and then South Korea, which is kind of the tip of the peninsula, the Florida.
Yeah,
if you think of it in that.
Like the panhandle of it?
Yes. And so this takes part in Manchuria, which is, I guess, a province of China, or perhaps at the time period that it's taking place in, it was maybe an independent government. I couldn't tell you. I'm not an expert in that. But geographically, it's kind of like they're in northern China.
Okay.
So I believe that's kind of the area of like the Gobi Desert.
Okay.
Which would make sense.
Yeah.
Because it was, most of the scenes are in like the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
And a big part of the movie, once again, this is where I felt a little, you could tell it was made for an Asian audience, was there was a lot of references to like the strife going on between Korea and Japan and Manchuria.
Yeah.
So I don't know how accurate this movie is, like how period specific and accurate it was intended to be. Just I don't have that information.
Yeah,
but,
I'm not sure either.
But yeah, so Japan wants this map because they want to claim dominion over Korea, or they already had, perhaps.
Yeah, didn't they say that it like could save the future of the country if they had the map, some type of line like that?
This treasure.
Yeah.
This treasure map that an ancient king wrote on a piece of paper. That this was where they would find this treasure.
Yeah.
This fucking
this treasure. Yeah.
Oh.
So they all are basically on their way to this treasure.
Yep.
Everyone shows up and everyone starts killing each other.
Oh, yeah, just annihilating. All of Chang Yi's gang gets taken out pretty much.
Yeah.
All of the bandit gang gets taken out pretty much. All of the military gets taken out.
Say the military gets taken out. And it ends up with these three guys, like the three characters that you've been watching the whole time.
Yep. So I think it's Taigu gets away on his own.
Yeah, I think so.
And yeah. And so he's wandering through the desert. And he's reading the map. He comes up over this hill and he's like, this is the place. His eyes light up. So he's running. He's searching. He's like, I'm in the place. And then the bounty hunter, Do-Won, he shows up. And basically, Taigu's like, come on, let's do it together. We've made it this far. Let's just find this treasure.
Right.
And you're still not entirely sure what's going to happen. But as they're figuring out where this treasure is, the bad guy shows up.
Yeah. Yep.
And then we have a good old-fashioned Mexican standoff.
Absolutely.
The guy's just like, you know what? Like, this is Chang Yi, the assassin, the bad guy. He's like, there's only one way to solve this. Let's play a game. We're all going to see who can kill each other first.
Yep.
And at this point, it is revealed to you that, in fact, Chang Yi is not the finger chopper. He is not the evil man. He is an evil man, but he is not the finger chopper.
He's not the finger chopper, right.
In fact, Taigu, the bumbling idiot this whole time, the silly guy, he was the finger chopper.
Yeah, and didn't he chop off the Mr. Cool's fingers?
He did, because he finally takes off his glove. And I was like, as soon as he started pulling off the glove, I was like, oh, okay, I see what's going on. And he's got a metal finger because Taigu chopped his finger off of like 5 years prior.
Yeah. How did you feel about that reveal?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I thought that him pulling the glove off, I was like, yeah, that's a little... But
on the nose.
It was such an out of nowhere twist.
Right.
Also, this whole concept of this guy being the finger chopper, the way they introduced it was kind of weird, so it didn't seem like it was relevant at all. Like, they kept calling him the finger chopper. Chang Yi, that is, everybody thinks he's the finger chopper. He even killed somebody because they claim to be the finger chopper.
Yeah.
It's all so silly. Like, it seems completely irrelevant until the
does.
very end when they're like, oh, actually, Taigu's the finger chopper. And
Right.
he chopped the cool guy's finger off.
But what does that even do for the story, right?
Nothing.
Like,
Does nothing.
like if you took that out, I don't think that the story would change at all.
No.
Like, at all. I think because they still have reason to not like each other. They still have reason for a shootout at the end of the movie.
He could have just bested him in a draw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the whole time everyone is saying a big part of this movie was that cool guy. Everybody was like, "I heard Taigu bested you," so he kind of had like a score to settle,
Right.
with Taigu. So it could have just been that he beat him in a draw or something.
Right.
But no, it's that he was the finger chopper. It's so weird.
So they find out what the treasure was before they do the standoff, don't they? Or I can't.
No.
They don't.
No, so they finally agree, and they're like, this only ends one way, with one of us walking away.
Yeah.
So they all kind of square up in a triangle, and whoopsies. And they start doing the classic Mexican standoff, just close-up shots of everybody's eyes darting back and forth. And then and one of them goes to draw, and just shit goes loose.
Yep.
They shoot each other a million times.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they just keep shooting each other.
Like, while they slowly hit to their knees and then lay down.
It's like I get shot 3 times, I fall down a little bit, keep
Yep.
shooting, get shot more.
Yep.
And they all just get turned into Swiss cheese by each other.
Yeah.
At this point, they're all laying on the ground, looking up at the sky, ready to die. When this area where the treasure is, all of a sudden, an oil spring explodes.
Yep. Just boom.
And it's just, like in Texas or anywhere, if you've ever seen, when oil erupts out of the ground. That's what happens.
Yep.
And you kind of see them realize in their eye, like, oh, this must have been the treasure.
Yep.
This is the stupidest part of this movie. I have questions.
Yeah. I'm curious what they are.
This is a treasure that was foretold by, like, the great ruler of a dynasty many, many years ago.
Yep.
How would he know that there was oil buried?
That's a
And if he
good
did,
question.
how would he know that oil was treasure?
Yeah. Or
Because-
as useful as it would become.
Yeah. He was probably just like, it's black mud. Why would he think or know that it's treasure? How would he know that?
Yeah, that's a good point, because I looked at that scene and I'm like, oil, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I get what they're trying to do narratively. It's
Right.
like everything you were looking for is ultimately, it wasn't treasure in the sense that you're thinking.
Exactly.
Everything you did was futile and hopeless.
Right.
I got that. But I was like, this is so dumb. How would this king from 100 years ago know that oil was going to be such an important commodity? And why would it just explode all of a sudden right when they were there?
Well, that's the reveal, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the grand finale.
Basically.
Of
And
it
well,
all.
it cuts to the credits, cuts to music, and I was like, that was silly. That wasn't anything. But then there's still another scene.
Yes.
They go to it's like a town, and there are wanted posters on the wall, and you see them cross off Chang Yi and write dead. And then right next to it is a wanted poster of Taigu. They don't cross it off.
Yeah.
They do not cross it off as if he's still missing.
Yeah.
And also, who's standing there with his face covered but the bounty hunter?
Yup.
The bounty hunter still. He got shot a million times.
He managed to
and
get
was in
away.
the middle of the desert.
Yeah, middle of fucking nowhere.
Like, when I say the middle of the desert,
Yeah.
there is nothing. There is
Nothing at
nothing.
all.
And he got shot at least 100 times. At least 100 times.
He made it out, though.
He somehow made it out.
He made it out.
And it appears that perhaps they still think Taigu is alive as well. Maybe Taigu did. You don't know.
Yeah, so there's actually two different versions of the ending with this. And so that one that we saw was cut specifically for international release. And there's... the Korean theatrical cut is 136 minutes long, and the international one is 129. So I think we actually saw the Korean theatrical one. So the Korean ending is considered more upbeat than the international version. So here's the description of the Korean ending. So it has several more minutes of footage. In the alternative ending, the weird Taigu gets up. He reveals the thick metal sheet hid under his quilted jacket and limps over to demolish the corpse of Chang-yi, the bad, Mr. Cool. So while doing so, he discovers diamonds in Chang-yi's pockets and giggles with the delight before realizing that he's surrounded by the Japanese army. Inadvertently lighting a stick of dynamite, he scares off the Japanese and dives for cover after realizing it was lit. Over the credits, he sets off to continue hunting for the treasure and his bounty multiplied sevenfold, while Do-won, the good, vindictively pursues him. So we didn't see that.
No, we did not. So that makes that ending make sense. They should have showed that.
Yeah.
Because what they did was show that they tried to shorten it up. Like I said, they show them marking off a bounty hunter, like a bounty poster.
Yeah. So we didn't.
Chang-yi.
So we must have seen. We must have had the international cut.
Not marking off Taigu.
Yeah.
And then Do-won just like, but that I was so confused by that, but it makes so much more sense hearing.
Yeah. All in all,
what actually happened.
All in all, it was a movie that I watched. Again, I was a manager at Blockbuster, and it was just we got like 2 copies of the movie. You know, because every week you get more.
That
movies.
Seems like one too many. Honestly,
it might have been one. I don't know, because there are the movies that you get a copy and you look at it and you're like, this is not going to rent well. You just and that I think was one of them. But it just intrigued me so much. The cover did, and I'm a very judge a book by its cover kind of guy.
Yeah.
Just by the nature of doing design and illustration professionally, that's all that I absolutely judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
And it just spoke to me. And so when I started watching it with the music and the long cut scenes of action and stuff, it was golden for me. It was amazing.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm necessarily in that camp. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed it. It was a little bit absurd.
It is a little bit absurd.
It was a little bit absurd in certain parts.
Yeah.
But once again, I kind of got the feeling it's meant to be fun. It's meant to be silly. So I can take that going it. But it was a fun watch.
Yeah.
I don't think it's something I will ever watch again.
Probably not. Yeah. Even me loving the movie, I would watch it like once every 3 years.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Like I would just be I could watch this again.
I was not high when I watched it, but I think I would like to get stoned and watch that. I think I would enjoy it greatly if I did that.
Whew, that's a man. I don't know if I'd be more confused watching it or what. But I would enjoy the action scenes.
Yeah.
So yes, maybe I would. I wouldn't know what's going on. No. But the action scenes would be top notch. If that was the case.
You don't need to understand anything that's going on. That's what I liked about this movie, was that it was just nonstop, over-the-top action.
Yeah.
The whole movie.
Yeah. It was definitely, like you said, it was definitely an homage to the old Westerns. And I don't know. I just really loved it. For me, any movie that can grab me not only visually, and maybe part of it is because it was a subtitled movie. I don't know about you, but I find myself, when I watch subtitled films, I really get sunken into the movie, and I think
I can see that. Yeah, because
you've gotta pay. Yeah, you gotta pay attention. You gotta read the subtitles, and so I just find myself like I'm watching it, I'm reading, so I'm kind of like my brain is forced to focus on the movie.
Yeah, you're actively engaged.
Yeah, and then when they take something like the music and make it what it was for that, just visually, audibly, all of my senses except for like smell and taste were just consumed watching that movie.
Yeah.
So it was very much an experience to watch that. I felt like it was really, really good.
Yeah, definitely worth a watch. Yeah.
You can find it on YouTube.
Very cool.
You can find it on YouTube for free. They don't even put any commercials in it. So,
I can't imagine there's a lot of people looking that up.
Right? So just, look up The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. You can watch it all on YouTube. It's great. Definitely worth a watch. You do need to put the subtitles on. They don't come on automatically, but they do have them.
Very
so
cool.
There you go. Just cast it to your TV, and it's about 2 hours and like 19 minutes long. So it's a little bit long, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah, it was a good watch. I liked that. It was a lot of fun.
Good. I am glad you enjoyed it. Do we want to do ratings on this, or do we just want to say whether we liked it or not?
I mean, we can do ratings. I don't think we need a hard, fast rule for it, but I would say I would give it probably 7 out of 10.
Okay.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10?
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Once again, it's super fun. If just based on like the fun factor and the action scenes, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Loved all the action. I mean,
right. The plot was a little contrived.
Let's be real. Like, when you're, like I said, it's basically a kung fu movie.
Yeah.
But it's kung fu gunplay.
It's very much filmed like a kung fu
exactly.
movie.
Yeah. Nobody does that style of movie.
Yeah.
Better than people in the countries where that type of movie originated.
Yeah.
So, for the action, 100%, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
For the laughs, also probably like an 8 or 9 out of 10. Still high marks. Just the story was a little bit confusing. So don't go into it expecting like a straight line movie.
It's not a super thought-provoking film, but I'd say it's a good. I was going to say it's a good popcorn flick, but it's a little bit more enjoyable than a standard popcorn flick. I think it's a legitimately good movie. You got to like subtitles. You got to like foreign films.
Yeah.
So if you're not okay with that, I wouldn't recommend it.
No.
Well, but like you said, do you think that your wife would like it?
I honestly told her, I was like, I think you probably would have enjoyed it because it's not. There was more. I feel like there was the same amount of dialogue in Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she enjoyed that. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Thor. I'm glad it was at least interesting to you.
It definitely was interesting. 2 people die from being stabbed up the butt.
What's not to love?
10 out of 10. I changed. 10 out of 10.
What's not to love about that?
Oh, what are we at time-wise?
We are around 47 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. You want to do a little bit of silly news?
Oh, yeah. I'm all up for silly news. What do you got for us?
All right. Let's see. Alrighty. This one I'm going to have you guess something.
Okay. All right.
So, this story, and this is probably from about, it looks like maybe a month or 2 ago.
Okay.
This story is called Long Live the King. Elvis has left... the barber shop.
Okay.
Elvis Presley's personal barber, Homer Gilliland, scooped up snippings of the king's hair over multiple haircuts and kept the baseball-sized ball of hair clippings in a plastic bag. He then gifted them to Thomas Morgan, a mutual friend of him and Elvis.
Okay.
Alrighty. So on, September 8th, so about 2 months ago, this hair, now sealed in a jar and backed up by, quotation marks, extensive documentation.
Okay.
Sold at auction for how much? How much do you think
Elvis's
baseball-sized clump of Elvis Presley's hair clippings? How much would you pay for that?
Well, not very much, to be honest. But unless it was a good deal, just so that I knew that I could turn around and hawk it for more.
Right.
Yeah, but man, what? My guess would be, how about 15 million? That's my guess.
15 million.
Yes.
Whew.
I don't know if I'm way high.
Way off.
Am I way low?
way high.
I'm way high. Okay, all right. In that case, 250,000.
72,500.
Okay.
Still, I didn't expect you to go that high.
I wasn't sure. It's Elvis.
I thought the shock was going to be like, what? I can't believe that it's that high. Like 15 million.
Who knows, man? I mean, 15 million's a
People
lot.
do go crazy for Elvis.
They do go nuts. Yeah. I mean, but even still, you said 72,000
$72,000
for hair?
for a clump of Elvis's hair.
What do you do with that? I guess you just keep it in the jar and put a name tag on it.
Like make a shrine or something?
Yeah. Do you like release it to a museum to like Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Would they be interested in it? Hanging out in Ohio?
I don't think so. I think they're more into like stuff they can show off.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a jar of
look at
hair.
this jar of hair. This is Elvis's hair.
No, a creep bought this, or a very old Southern white lady.
I could see that.
They love them some Elvis.
They do love Elvis. I mean, he wasn't bad. They
I
call
enjoy
him,
Elvis.
they call him the king for a reason, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like old Elvis. Like, and by old I mean chronologically it's young Elvis.
Yes.
So like the younger Elvis I really enjoy. I don't care for disco Elvis that much.
Yeah. Well, that's when he was still stealing all his songs from like black musicians and not giving them credit.
Yeah.
So, they made the best music.
But yeah, it was $72,000.
Yeah.
What would you buy for $72,000? Like, is there anything legitimately that you would pay for that much? Or pay
I don't think I could, but
right. But let's say that you were in the position to.
okay.
Yeah.
So, and it's still
Like, I wouldn't recommend going into debt to buy Elvis's hair.
no. So something where, something I would value at $72,000, regardless if I,
Yeah.
could purchase it or not. Something I would value at $72,000.
Like, is there another musician that you might like something of theirs? And would it be their hair? Like, is another musician's worth that much?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
I think like a guitar actually played and owned by like Jimi Hendrix, maybe.
Right. Yeah, I could see that. Or yeah, for me it would be like one of the Beatles, maybe.
Yeah.
Like I could see that seems realistic. If you have the cash, this is Paul McCartney's bass type of thing.
Yeah.
Like that'd be kind of cool. Maybe a comic book, like a first edition comic book for me.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
But those are more than 72,000. Those like first edition Superman's like it's a ton of money.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't really like stuff though, so
That's kind of where I'm at too. Like even if I was a millionaire, I don't know if I'd spend that much money for Elvis's hair. I just don't know what you'd do with it.
I don't think I would pay for anybody's hair. There's nobody's hair I would pay for.
It reminds me of like when parents would keep their kids like first haircut hair. Was your mother that way?
No, we had $2 bills though. So my mom, she probably still has it.
Yeah.
There's a scrapbook, with the classic old photos.
Okay.
From when I kind of said that like I was from Philadelphia. Yeah, she had some photos in it.
Photos.
She was drinking water, putting photos in her scrapbook. But yeah, no, she had a scrapbook with old photographs, and in that, I believe it was my uncle.
Okay.
He gifted myself. I have my brother and my two sisters, and he gifted each of us a $2 bill.
Okay.
On like our first birthday or when we were born, something like that.
Did they say that it was going to be worth more than that?
Yeah, they were going to be worth a ton. I bet she still has it somewhere in an old
those $2 bills
scrapbook. Yeah,
from probably 1980
somewhere
around
yeah.
there. Who's on the $2 bill? Is it Hamilton?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
I'm looking it up. $2 bill. Why did they make the $2 bill? Who thought that would be a good idea? You've got a $1 bill.
And you already had $5 bills.
Yeah, like why do you need an in-between there?
Well, maybe we look that while you look up who's on it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Why in the world?
Oh, it's Jefferson. Jefferson's on the $2 bill. Our third president, folks, Thomas Jefferson. But why? So looking online, it gives me the value as if to rub it in every single person's face that thought that a $2 bill would be worth more. Yeah, it says value $2. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Same thing with those stupid Sacagawea coins.
Oh yeah, those gold coins.
Yes.
That were going to be worth, more than $1.
All right, let's see. Why did they make the $2 bill?
Is there an actual answer for that?
It doesn't give me an answer to the question. The question I ask is, why did they make the $2 bill?
Yeah.
The answer it gave me, though, was, as a result, the $2 bill started having weird uses even after the Great Depression. I guess, so I'm assuming, based on the answer, it was made for the Great Depression.
Okay.
Perhaps because, $5 then would have seemed an astronomical amount for the general populace. Okay,
so I guess, yeah, when I asked why...
Because it looks like this is a sentence taken from a longer story or paragraph, and it says, as a result, the $2 bill started having weird uses even after the Great Depression ended. So it seems like it was created during the Great Depression.
What were the weird uses? Now I'm curious.
According to Bernardo.
To Bernardo.
The expert
all right,
on
Bernardo.
The $2
yeah,
bill.
Tell us all about it, Bernardo.
Politicians started using the $2 bill to bribe people for votes. And the bill started being used for bribery.
You know what they were doing.
In addition, it was also a bill used for prostitution and gambling.
Okay, so here's exactly what they were doing. Those politicians were going up to people and they're like, hey, vote for me. Here's a $2 bill. It'll be worth more someday. That's exactly what
Absolutely. That's so weird, though, that a particular currency was used for prostitution and gambling.
Man. Yeah.
Like prostitutes were like, nah, I don't take ones.
I don't take ones.
I don't take ones, honey.
I mean, you know what? If you had a G-string filled with $2 bills, you got double your income for the night.
Yeah, that's true. And that tracks.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So without getting too crass, now maybe somebody should do a social experiment. Go to a strip club, but instead of having ones, only have $2 bills and see if they can have a better experience with $2 bills versus $1 bills. See if they flock around.
No, they're probably going to kick you out because they're going to be like, this is a psychopath. This is clearly a psycho.
Clearly.
Bring it $2 bills. All right, I got one more for you.
Ooh, okay, hit me with it.
Florida police seek help. This one's just kind of a bit odd. Florida police seek help to ID a victim from their tattoo after body parts were found floating in a bay.
Ooh.
So essentially...
So body parts were floating up. One of the body pieces had a tattoo.
Yeah. So in Tampa, McKay Bay in Tampa, fisherman thought he spotted a fish.
Uh-huh.
He starts pulling it in. He sees a lump. He's like, I thought it was a catfish. And as it gets closer, he realizes it's a human leg.
Same color and everything, probably.
Additional human body parts were discovered just before noon on Friday.
Just floating.
I would just like to point out that Dexter was
the Bay
from
Harbor
Florida.
Butcher. Yeah.
The Bay Harbor Butcher. Somebody's LARPing Dexter.
Do you think, too, that maybe... I mean, because the new season of Dexter has just released. Like, they just released the first...
Have you seen any of it?
I haven't yet.
We watched the first episode last night.
Was it any good?
Yeah, you have to accept, though, that it's... Because they're not just calling it Dexter. It's not Dexter Season 9.
Okay.
It's Dexter New Blood.
Okay.
It's a new series. I believe they're only doing one season, from what I had heard.
That's what I heard, too.
I bet they're waiting to see how well it does. And
yeah.
We're going to do more. So you have to accept it's not Dexter. So
it's not what Dexter was.
They definitely made some changes, made some updates to it to make it more, to make it more modern and more.
Okay.
So some of the things kind of bugged me, but I was like, I had to kind of take a step back from myself and be like, they're not just going to make the same show that they made. That's not what they set out to do. I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's not the exact Dexter experience.
Okay.
But the first episode, I wasn't a huge fan for like the first 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
And it pulled me right back in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I love that character. I love Michael C. Hall.
Michael C. Hall does a great job as Dexter. Yeah, he really does.
So, if you intend on watching it, I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, I do. So it's one of those things where I talk to Ash. December is like packed with TV shows.
Yeah.
Because The Witcher is coming out.
Oh, that's right.
The Wheel of Time comes out on Friday. It comes out tomorrow, which I cannot wait to watch. I don't know if you're planning on watching that at all. If not,
I've heard you guys talk about the Wheel of Time so much. I'm like, I'm going to watch it and see what all the fuss is about. And then
absolutely.
Perhaps read the books.
Yeah, so
if I enjoy it.
I have the audiobooks. If you would like the audiobooks, I will lend them to you. But so those are both coming out. Dexter's is out now, and Ashley was like, there's just too much. Like we have to decide to binge something. And so I think that we're going to decide to binge Dexter and just wait for all of that to release and then watch it all in, a couple of days.
Yeah, well, and honestly, that can be better because now in the world of binging entire series, it's very easy if you are actually trying to stay on top of something week by week.
Yeah.
If you are not absolutely enthralled with it, it's very easy to forget.
Yeah.
And then get caught up on something else and come back to it.
Gotcha.
But it's cool.
Okay.
Alrighty, so I guess we should close with I'm going to give you your recommendation for next week.
I am ready for it.
I'm giving you a music recommendation.
Ooh, okay. All right.
So I'm pretty confident. I only prepared one because I'm pretty confident you haven't listened to this.
Okay.
So the Fugees.
The Fugees, okay.
Which, Lauryn Hill, Wyclef Jean.
Yeah.
Proswell is the third guy. He didn't really necessarily go on to as much fame as like Lauryn Hill and Wyclef Jean.
Okay.
So the Fugees. And you're probably familiar, the two big songs are like...
What are the two big songs? Because I know
Ready
the name.
and Here I Come.
Okay.
You Can't Hide.
Okay,
That song.
yep. All right.
As well as Killing Me Softly.
Okay. Okay, yeah. I know those two songs.
Yep.
Couldn't have told you that the Fugees did it, but I know those two songs.
So I'm going to give you a list of 10 songs.
Okay.
So the first 5 of the songs are going to be off their second record, The Score. And that was the one, The Score, as far as Fugees go, The Score is like gold standard. I mean, it has their 2 biggest hits on it. It's honestly probably my top album, probably my favorite album all time.
Really?
Easily in the top 3.
Okay.
Easily.
Wow.
I'm not a huge hip hop fan. I'm not a huge hip hop expert by any means.
Yeah.
But absolutely love this album.
That's going to be...
So I'm specifically giving you some deep cuts.
Okay.
And I suggest you listen to The Score. My suggestion is you listen to the entire album.
Okay. All right.
The album is called The Score.
All right.
But the 5 songs you must listen to.
Okay.
First one is called Zealots.
Okay.
Then The Mask.
All right.
The Beast.
Okay.
The Score.
All right.
And Manifest.
Manifest.
Once again, for listeners at home, please bone up on your Fugees. Seriously, incredible, absolutely incredible album. But with music, I feel like it's a little bit different than movies. Sometimes you just hear something, you're like, I just don't like this.
Yeah.
So that's fair. So definitely listen to those 5. I suggest, though, if you enjoy them, listen to the whole album. It's incredible. Okay. And then the next thing you should listen to is their first album.
Okay.
So the second album by far is better.
Okay.
The first album is still very good.
Yeah.
It's very different. And this was also the order in which I heard them.
You heard them. Well. Okay. So you were introduced to them, I guess, with their second album.
With The Score, yes.
Okay.
I found the CD. I stole the CD out of somebody's car, I believe.
Okay. This is like high school Thor?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I just started listening to it, and I was like, I love this. Honestly, I had to look up the names of these songs because I I just knew the CD.
I couldn't even tell you what genre the Fugees do. I have literally
it's
no
hip-hop.
idea.
The score is from 1996.
Okay.
Once again, the second album. Their first album, though, is called Blunted on Reality. But here are the songs from that. It's called Fuji Translators Crew, Blunted on Reality.
Okay.
But in any case, here are the 5 songs from that you should listen to. Once again, I suggest listening to the whole CD.
To the whole thing? All right.
It's a little bit older. It's a little bit more raw.
Okay.
So if not, I would totally get it. But first song, Some Seek Stardom.
Okay.
Temple, Giggles, Recharge, and Boof Bath.
Boof Bath.
We'll get into a little bit of history of Fugees next week.
Yeah, I'm super intrigued.
Lauryn Hill and Wyclef Jean and the Fugees themselves, they have a very, rich history. And
Okay.
Wyclef Jean went on to be super influential in hip hop, culture and music.
Really?
After the Fugees, they only ever made these 2 albums.
Okay.
But
I'm just so ignorant.
2 of my favorite albums of all time. Definitely
Really?
the score is like the Blunted on Reality, not as much.
Yeah.
I could leave it and I would be okay. But
Okay.
seriously, the score is easily one of my top 3.
So I'll listen to both of them, and I will listen to them in that order. I'll listen to the score, and then I'll listen to their first album.
But
Blunted on Reality.
like I said, specifically the songs I mentioned, those are the ones you need to listen to. Those are the ones like they're the deep cuts, and they're my favorites.
Okay.
They're so cool. It's so unique, and it's so unlike any other music.
It's going to be...
Both of the albums, very different albums.
Yeah.
But each of them so unique and individual.
It's going to be an interesting sell for me, because I generally am not a hip-hop person.
Yep.
At all.
I didn't think so. And
Could you tell?
Neither am I, honestly. But I am, admittedly, I'm a huge fan of like old school hip hop, like late 80s, early 90s hip hop. Okay. I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
So
for me, I think of old hip hop as Run DMC and MC Hammer.
Sure. Well, maybe not MC Hammer, but yeah, sure. Run DMC or
that shows my ignorance.
Maybe we'll listen to some Slick Rick sometime.
Some Slick Rick.
Slick Rick is great.
Slick Rick sounds like he hangs out with old Greg.
But no, Lauryn Hill's one of the most masterful rappers of all time, like lyricists in general. It's just
not to be castrated for my ignorance, but how do you spell Fugees? Is that Fugis?
Fugees. So it's like refugees.
Okay.
Just cut the RE.
Okay. Fugees.
Yeah, because they're all, I believe, they're all.
Is that where
they all come from like a immigrant background, I believe.
Is that where the name comes from?
Yeah, because I know
really?
Wyclef Jean is 100% Haitian.
Okay.
Like I know he's definitely Haitian.
Yeah.
As far as the other 2, Proswell and Lauryn Hill, I don't know if they themselves were
refugees.
Or if come from, if their parents were refugees or anything like that, or it's just essentially from a different country.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're from New Jersey, I believe, like New Jersey in the 80s and 90s when it was, real rough place. So
okay, all right,
it's very real music. It's very
Fugees. Cool. I'm gonna listen to it. You should too.
Yes, we will see you next week for some music chat.
More
weird news.
I'm excited for it.
And I think that's it.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, join us next week. We're gonna listen. Well, we're gonna talk about the Fugees. I'll give my reaction, and Thor's probably going to give me some more deep dive stuff. I'm excited to hear it.
Absolutely. All right, stay wrecked out there.
Yeah, get wrecked.
Is that good?
Stay wrecked. Yeah.
Stay wrecked.